Welcome, viewers. My name is Temitope Olodo. I'm your anchor on this program, African Security. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, the discussion is very very simple. We've seen what has happened in the last few weeks. Following the postponement, what others will refer to as shift in the timetable of Nigerian election. Now it's scheduled to take place on March the 28th, and everybody is eager. The question then is, for the supporters of both President Goodluck Jonathan and General Muhammad Buhari, the stake is quite high. They need to win more voters and not lose any more electorate, to each other. And as a result, most of them are keen in on issues which they believe is important for them to win this ticket. For President Goodluck Jonathan, the issue here for him at stake is security that he has not been able to actually address effectively. But he's been making headway, give it to him. Is with corporations from Chad, Cameroon, and Niger. They have pushed Boko Haram out of Baga. They are really working hard. For Buhari, the issue here is corruption, and he's coming down and hitting hard to say that nobody that is corrupt will be taken on board to work with him in his government. Now, the question here for the Nigerian people is, who do you believe? Who is Nigerian Messiah at this critical hour? That's the question that many are asking. That's the question that we need to find answers to. Because the issue here is we need to be sure that all the political statements being bounced around will translate to proper policy that will be implemented on the ground. Both parties have promised that the unemployed youth will be their priority. But we know, I know, that the crude oil is at the lowest price ever in many years. So the question is, they need to be able to find the source of money. They need to find the money that is needed to be able to carry out some of their political statements. So Buhari is promising that he will deal with the issue of corruption. Is promising to address the issue of unemployed youths by creating 20,000 jobs in each state, with 36 states in question, and creating jobs even at the center. For the president, he's saying, I've done it before, I know how to do it, I will create 4 million jobs. And these are issues, that we need to look at, examine. For we in the diaspora, of course, our concerns are completely different. We don't even have the right to vote. So we need somebody that will promise us, or we need each candidate to promise to do something for us that enable us to vote. We need them to be able to pass the legislation, but not only pass the legislation, we need to have a special advisor on diaspora matters to be able to advise the president on how to address issues. Because if this is done, we will not see either leaders flying into the UK and talking to the few converted that have been selected and going away. They will hold proper town hall meetings to address us, just like the Rwanda president does. They would take us seriously in terms of our desires and our wishes will be reviewed. So those are part of the issues. We need, for example, for whoever becomes president to have a minister of state for diaspora under the federal ministry. Not only that, we need enabling laws that allows specialists, like IT specialists, counterterrorism experts, security experts, people that work in exclusive industries that are relevant for Nigerian economy and for the development of Nigeria, to be, for us to have a law that enables them to transpose their skills back to Nigeria. India has done it. They are able to create another cynical valley in India, and we need something similar to that in Nigeria. We need enabling law that allows us to be able to bring people with appropriate skill set into Nigeria. Because if you look at it, when we're talking about the fight on terrorism in Nigeria, there's so many experts, for example, who have the skill set, but none of them have been used effectively in addressing this. So those are kind of the issues that we'll be dealing with. But stay tuned, because now what we're going to do is we're going to play you a video or recording that was done on the street at the Chatham House event where General Buhari spoke recently.
Nigeria needs a dictator. We have had them before.
And where is 20 billion? Where is 20 billion? Where is 20 billion dollars? Missing from oil account. Oh no, Mr. Tinubu is the federal government.
Tinubu is inside with God no say. Yes, Buhari. This is a self-interest. All of you have been bought.
Nigerian money of our resources of the money to sell the better tomorrow has been used by some selfish criminals. Selfish criminals. You will go.
Wow, you've seen the video. You've made up your mind. Of course, I can't make up your mind for you, but London, Chatham House, that was where Buhari had to pitch his last political statement to people in the diaspora and to the world. Of course, many of you have seen the video and you've seen the chanting. In fact, I thought when I was watching that we were in Nigeria. It was a lot of noise, shouting, screaming, people actually getting more physical with each other, literally, at that venue. And you ask yourself, is this the diaspora that we are fighting for, that need to vote? Is this the way they'll be beating themselves up, or fighting and screaming when they have the opportunity to vote? Now, of course, for many of you, I don't know if you could even still remember what the good general spoke about. Some of you will be convinced because a well-written script, we must give it to whoever wrote that script. Well-written to address all the concerns that people might have, although there are some issues there in terms of how the diaspora will be effectively involved. Nothing was really said about the diaspora in that speech. And of course, the diasporas themselves that were in Chatham House did not even ask any question about diaspora in terms of, what was in it for them. Of course, the diasporas are not voting, so why should it actually give any concerns to it? Of course, I'm not saying the good general does not have anything for the diasporas. Of course, they value the diasporas, and the town hall meeting that they had before the Chatham House event, they actually did promise a lot of issues, make a lot of promises. Now let's go back to the Chatham House issues. My real concern was some of the allegations that were actually levied against the ruling party. Of course, we only had an opportunity of speaking to one party, and we are not here to advocate for either PDP or APC. That's not our point. Here is to look and analyze what happened on the day. But if we go back, there was allegation that money was paid and people were rented. Now, this is what normally happens in Nigeria, where people are rented to go to hall to fill the stadium up in Nigeria, but I never expected that to happen here on the street of London. But of course, from videos that we're seeing, what we're seeing is that people were actually asked about their political opinions on the day that we're demonstrating, and none of them could even script up a sentence on the issue. And this raised a lot of concerns that if the next generation or the people concerned, people that were recorded, actually are going to be involved, in voting in the diaspora, how would they vote? These are issues of concern, but we'll drop that and pack that, and let's actually look, at some of the issues that were discussed, or some of the issues raised at Chatham House by Major General Buhari. Now, he talked about the issue of corruption, and he said that corrupt people will not have a place in his government, and we applaud him for that. That was very good, because that's exactly what Nigerians, both home and abroad, want. But when he was asked about, if he's going to go after, people that have been involved in corruption, since 1960, he made it very clear that he's not going to be involved in witch hunting. And I think, again, that must be applauded, because we don't want a leader that is going to be involved in witch hunting. He must be the father of all, both PDP, APC, or APC, PDP, whichever way, the election goes, that you good people of Nigeria decide to cast your vote on. Now, the issue here is that if you're not going after those people and you don't have an amnesty to get them to put the return money that they've taken, how do you get money out of them? Of course, we know that he has made it clear that he will strengthen EFCC, and anybody actually facing that is actually under concern or being viewed by EFCC as having a question to answer, then he's not going to interfere with that, and he's going to allow the court to deal with that. He also talked about the issue of security, and he said that we need to trust him because he's a former military personnel and a former head of state. He understands how the military works. He knows how to oil the machine to make them more effective. Of course, while he was speaking at Chatham House, President Goodluck Jonathan was at the war front. He said he was at the war front, and he said never again will Boko Haram be able to take territories. And the same statement was actually literally being provided by General Buhari when he said that not 1 inch of Nigerian land will be taken over by Boko Haram. So who do you then believe? Who indeed is Nigerian Messiah? That's the question on the lips or in the minds of many Nigerians who are concerned about the issue of insecurity and violence extremism in Nigeria. Of course, what we want to see, and as a counter-terrorism expert, what I want to see is a proper roadmap on how these issues will be properly addressed, especially when you're talking about Boko Haram. I know that the general has said on 1 or 2 occasions that he's going to have a security summit where people will be able to bring their minds, come together and actually address this issue and come up with practical policies on how things should be done. So we are using this opportunity to say to the general that if you get there, if you were elected by the Nigerian people, then you have to ensure that the diaspora are effectively involved in this. And of course, we're also using this opportunity to speak to President Goodluck Jonathan that you have to also do the same. Let's go back to the issue or some of the issues that were being raised in that event. We know that he said a lot of things, and he actually talked about how he was going to address it. Is that enough to convince Nigerians? Is that enough to convince you at home? Now, stay tuned to AILTV because we will be bringing you more information. We'll be going on the street to address this issue, to ask people critical questions, and to bring you life to you. Before we wrap up this segment, I want to play you a clip, and I want you to listen very carefully. It's from a supporter of APC and an allegation that was made, which is making rounds throughout the media world currently in Nigeria and across Africa. Listen.
I represent the All Progressives Congress in the UK, and you can see our members here and those who are sympathetic to good governance in Nigeria, those who want corruption to be wiped off the face of Nigeria, those who want the good of Nigeria. Those are the people here. You have on this side people who have collected money, okay, since last night, it's been trending on social media. $20,000 have been deployed to continue to waste the lives of young Nigerians and young Africans in the UK. They've been hired to come here and behave like dogs. And that is the story of what President Jonathan has done to Nigeria. He has destroyed the lives of young Nigerians. He has made their lives hopeless. He has removed the future hope of our country, and it has made Nigeria a place that was potentially great, but now has no future. Okay, so that is why we are here. They have come to try and embarrass General Muhammadu Buhari. They, in so doing, are saying that there is a Nigerian who does not have a right to claim their constitutional right to contest an election. That in itself is an aberration of democracy.
But they might say they are supporting their party. They might say Jonathan is doing good things.
Yes, but when you look at their banners, there is hardly one of their banners that mentions the good things that their candidate, President Jonathan, has done. He has been 6 years in office. All they are doing is scaremongering. They have come out to try and define a man in the wrong colors. A man who is known for his integrity. A man who is known to be totally and completely against corruption.
Now, you've listened to that tape and to that recording. Of course, I have to make it very clear here that I don't support APC or PDP, so all I'm just giving is a view of one political party activist. Now, the issue then is, why is it that we're talking about corruption and we in the diaspora have been fighting about corruption, and the issue of a 20,000 payment is coming up on this matter? It's a very painful issue. A very painful issue for us in the diaspora and for many Nigerians, that corruption seems to have eaten into the fabric of everything we do in Nigeria. The students are corrupt, teachers are corrupt. But the issue here is that we are the ones blaming government for being corrupt, and yet we're the ones receiving that money from them, to enhance this corruption. This is an issue of concern, and I'm calling on the good people of Nigeria that we need all to shun corruption to be able to allow our nation to develop. But as we talk about this issue, there are other grave, serious issues of concern that we in the diaspora should be looking at. The issue of the permanent voters card and ensuring that everybody that needs to vote have the opportunity to vote. We know that 150,000 polling booths have been created, and not all of them will be used. Of course, we know that there will only be 500 people per each polling station, and we know that Boko Haram has promised to cause havoc during that time. So we're using this opportunity to call on good people of Nigeria to be vigilant and to ensure that they hold on to their PVCs and cast the vote rightly. Listen to both parties, listen to what they've got to say, challenge them on issues without insulting anyone, be matured about it. Make sure that you ask the right questions and make sure that your vote is casted right. This is important. This is what you need to do. Now, we in the diaspora need to be fighting for our rights also. We need to ensure that the right things are done at the right time, that we're putting pressure on family members to be able to cast their vote rightly, and we're persuading them to look at issues and not have this emotional political banter that they're doing, to get involved actually in proper analysis of the candidates and what they're going to do and what they promise to do. As you know, General Buhari was at Chatham House, and a lot of his supporters, majority of his supporters, were actually out there, chanting and calling his name and saying all sort of good things about him, with a very few pocket of PDP members actually there, protesting on the issue of dictatorship and human rights. But what surprised me also was that there's a lot of discussion on this on Facebook, that he actually did not actually come out to wave to the people, his supporters that were out there in the rain, waiting for him. Now, these are kind of issues, even here in the United Kingdom and in all other democratic countries of the world, there will always be people that will protest against you. So that doesn't stop you from actually, coming out and waving to those people that are actually supporting you. And that is very, very important. So our leaders need to take on board the wishes of the people. We need to connect more with the people, because that is important. Good people, great nation. Thank you for watching.